Hello, everyone. Today we get to welcome Robert Stacy of Iodyne. Welcome, Robert.
Hey, Roy, thank you for having me today. I'm really excited to be here. Happy New Year.
Uh, Happy New Year. Great to have you. Looking forward to our discussion. So
Me too.
to jump right in, maybe a little bit about the company. Can you give us a brief overview of Iodyne and what originally motivated the team to rethink professional storage?
Well, it's actually a really interesting story. The company was founded by two gentlemen who used to work together at Sun Microsystems. And in fact, one of them is the inventor of the ZFS file system, a guy
Oh,
named Jeff Bonwick, and the other, Mike
really?
Shapiro, is the inventor of using NVMe's over Fabric. And they had a really great collaboration. And after they left Sun and Oracle, they started another company called DSSD, which really specialized in, high performance storage solutions. One of the things that they developed while there was the drive system for the Hardened Space Collider in Switzerland. So great success, sold that company to Dell and thought they were going to retire. But it turns out that neither of them golf, and but one of them started to play around with digital video as a hobby. And as he looked at storage solutions that he could put on his desktop, one of the things he realized is I wouldn't put any of these in a data center. And so the idea was to develop a solution that had, enterprise level features, basically on your desktop. That's sort of the genesis of the company. And the company's vision in, sort of as the portfolio has developed is how do you make the lives of creatives materially better and faster while at the same time making IT and security people happy as well?
Wow. That is that is a great Genesis story of a company. That's really, and I had no idea. Wow. Okay. And now what core problems in today's media workflows were you most determined to solve when designing the Pro Data and the Pro Mini platforms?
Okay, well, the Pro Data and the Pro Mini platforms are essentially portable storage solutions that are Thunderbolt based. And where they sort of fit and live is typically on the edge where data is generated. And also, can be used selectively in, post-production type workflows. One of the problems that you have with that category of storage is that, if you look at portable storage over the last 50 years, say from the floppy until today, it's just been this iterative incrementation of, more density, slightly faster, different interface, new form factor, different color. But at no point have those products really materially addressed getting those devices into an IT framework or getting a management framework around them as well. And of course, the big problem that it goes along with all of that is security. So our devices are really targeted at the idea of being super high speed with enterprise level features like, encryption, RAID 6, active health telemetry, the ability to have active monitoring of those things, and then just being super high speed and giving creative and performative outcomes that customers need.
Excellent. And is it fair to say that rather than a normal direct attach storage, your solution can be very collaborative, right? With many users
That's true.
accessing. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Pro Data is really kind of an interesting device. So it is about the size of a gaming laptop. And in that form factor, we have a variety of different configurations, anywhere from 12, 24, 48, 96, or 192 terabytes, all basically in the form of a gaming laptop sized device. And the way that it works is on the side of the device, there are 8 Thunderbolt ports, which are basically comprised of 4 upstream, downstream Thunderbolt pairs. So there are a couple ways that those ports are utilized. One way is for super high speed. So we do something called multipathing, where we basically can bond port pairs together to get super high speed. So one of the value propositions of the Pro data is really sustained speed. So that's the other thing that we're trying to address in, edge devices is having a sustained data rate. So a Pro data, for example, can ingest reliably every hour 8.5 terabytes. And for egress, for offload, it can reliably offload 19 terabytes an hour through this use of multipathing. So that's one thing that the product does. But the Thunderbolt ports, to address your question about collaboration, the Thunderbolt ports also allow you to treat the device like a DAS, direct attached storage. So you can have up to 4 users directly connected to the device at the same time. And so this allows for a degree of collaboration where you can have multiple users sharing information, working on the same project. It's not a NAS in a classical sense, so there are obviously caveats to workflows, but that's always a design concern when you're designing a solution. But essentially, this allows for a small team to go out into the middle of the far-flung world, work together, come back, and even potentially work collaboratively, within the same facility.
Really interesting. Interesting. Okay. And can you walk us through the kinds of real world workflows where Pro Data has made the biggest impact for your customers?
Well, I think one of the real key things that we enable for production customers, just starting there, is the ability to predictively understand how long it's going to take to ingest a certain amount of data, which is to say that because we can reliably ingest data at 8.5 terabytes an hour, if you're shooting, a bunch of red cameras or RE cinema cameras and you're generating X amount of terabytes per day, you can start to plan out how long it's going to take. So this has the potential, from a production perspective to allow you to shoot more pages or to, reduce your overtime or, at least know how long it's going to take to actually, impact something. So because of the form factor, the device fits into a backpack really easily, can go through airport security easily, spit in the overhead bin, and really you can take that device anywhere in the world. So, we have customers today that are using them in places like Antarctica, Easter Island, very, remote places, and then, able to securely, transport that stuff back. For studio customers in particular who are doing like high level feature films, in addition to having that speed outcome, we also address the security because the device is XTS AES 256 encrypted. So we also address their security concerns that they have typically on set because you're creating content that's very important, and you want to make sure that the device is secure and safe.
Okay. Wow. Really, really interesting. Okay. And I mean, this one you spoke to it a little bit, but maybe if you could expand on it. So many customers we deal with, they're struggling with NVMe sprawl and performance
Sure.
bottlenecks. Could you speak a little bit about how you address that, how your solution helps create that ultra fast storage without compromise?
Sure. Well, within the system itself, it's comprised of 12 NVMe, so that, those configurations of 12, 24, 48, 96, and so on are, comprised of, either 1, 2, 4, 8, or 16 terabyte NVMe sticks. The real fundamental idea around the device is reusability, right? The one thing is that within the system, there's the ability to have active health telemetry. So one thing that we're doing with the NVMEs is we're actually monitoring the read-write health of every single drive within the system so that over time, where it is in its read-write cycle, because as you know, NVMEs have a finite number of read-writes available to them. So one really nice aspect of this is that we write our data in a spiral, and each bit within the device is rated for up to 10,000 read writes. So assuming you're using it in anger every day, you're probably going to get about 5 years of life out of the sticks, but you're going to know where you are, as you go along that journey. And if the device is within the warranty period, which the standard warranty is 3 years, and we offer an extended warranty up to 5 years, if you deplete the drive, we'll have to do a replacement of the drive stick in that time frame.
Oh, oh, fantastic. Okay. And how does ProData integrate into existing environments with SAN, NAS,
Excellent.
or
Yeah.
high-speed Ethernet fabrics? What does a deployment typically look like?
Well, this is an interesting challenge, right? One of the real interesting business problems that I think a lot of people are facing is that if you look at the production side of things, we have larger raster cameras, we have more cameras. So we're generating 17K, large sensor sizes, 8K. Um, but on the post side, that's been a pretty challenged part of people's business for some time. And so how do you post that kind of content in full raster, full rate, frame rate, full color depth, if your SAN is, not capable of providing, a sustained data rate, for those things. So, your business choice is, do I spend a whole bunch of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars to upgrade the infrastructure to get to that space, to get to that capability, or can I selectively place pro datas within a finishing room or two, and leverage the pro data's ability to play, AKEXRs in real time, full frame rate, full raster, full color depth. And so that's kind of one of the things that we address. Another interesting thing that has emerged with some of our studio customers is that they love to use external post for things like finishing because they like the creative capability of the facility and the people within it. But one of the things that does make them anxious sometimes is transferring their data from drives into the facilities infrastructure, because then they have to worry about their security protocol, not their own. So some of them are using ProData as a means of transporting basically the OCFs to the finishing room, doing the finishing directly off the ProData and never letting the data actually touch the facilities infrastructure. So that's
Interesting.
another workflow that's emerged with the device as well.
Ah, very interesting. Okay. And now, turning to the Pro Mini,
Yeah.
what inspired the creation of such a compact and powerful solution?
Well, someone expressed this a couple of days ago. We were talking about, how everybody's got a closet full of hard drives that
Yeah.
basically are what's on the drive. Can it be used? Is it backed up? Questions really nobody knows, and the only way that you can really verify that answer is by directly plugging in the drive. So in a sense, it's Schrodinger's drive, right? The data exists, it doesn't exist at the same time. So there's this aspect of, if you had to buy a new car every time you wanted to go to the store, that would be crazy. But that is literally what people do with projects, is that they buy a new hard drive literally every time they want to do something new, and that just then it ends up on the shelf. And so that's very economically inefficient. The management of that data doesn't fit into your IT framework. It's a big security risk. And then where the 20 drives in your closet are, but where are the 20 drives that are not in your closet? Who's got them? Where are they? What are they doing with them? So that's another really big issue. And then the
Yeah.
biggest issue of all is, the performative one. Our customers, your customers, are basically executing industrial level workflows, but they're trying to address them with consumer level tools, right? So these hard drives that people are buying, there's nothing wrong with them, but one of the big engineering, problems with them is that when you plug them in, your need is to have a sustained data rate, but in reality, they thermally throttle because they're passively cooled, and so basically they heat up. The performance is very unpredictable. So you can't really design a workflow around that. The only way you can really treat that device is as a filing cabinet for your data, nothing more than that. So really one of the goals that we had is, okay, if we were going to do something in this category, how do we rethink the whole thing altogether? So the key to doing that is that you have to solve, the first thing you have to solve is you have to solve this thermal throttling problem. Because until you do that, you can't really do anything meaningful with the drive beyond just hoping that it's a little faster or a little larger. So one of the things that we've done with this product called the Pro Mini, which is basically a portable device that fits in your hand, comes in capacities of either 8 terabytes, is that we're using something called solid state cooling. So rather than passively cooling the drive or, changing the form factor so you have to put a big bulky fan in there that's also noisy, we're actually using something called a solid state cooling chip. And there are actually two of them within the Pro Mini. And what these do is it's an active bus powered cooling system that basically cools the drive. And so one of the things this unlocks is now you have the ability to have sustained data performance in a handheld device. And so the Pro Mini, when connected, will actually sustainably transfer data at 3 gigs a second sustained for read or write. And essentially that translates to being able to transfer 10 terabytes an hour. But as amazing as that is, we wanted to really, take it a step further. So one of the other aspects of this device is like our larger unit, the Pro Data, it is also encrypted. It is also hardware-based RAID 6, and it also has active health telemetry. So the idea here is to have enterprise level features with Mac level intuition in the palm of your hand. And so this active health telemetry solves one of the really big questions is how do you know if your drive is production ready? So basically, like the larger device, it monitors the read-write health of the drive so that you know where you are in the read-write cycle of the device. And one feature I forgot to mention about the Pro Data that's also true with the Mini is that if you're in RAID 6 mode and you lose a, a chip or a drive, the device actually auto reconfigures itself into a fully functional, healthy RAID 5 so that you get full data performance out of the device.
Wow.
And so, yeah, so some innovative things. But probably it's more important to talk about how does this device actually start to fit into your IT framework. So the Pro Mini is not quite shipping yet. It will be shipping this March. But what we're adding to that is something called fleet management. And fleet management is a set of services that allow you to manage your Pro Data and your Pro Mini devices. And in the Mini, there's particularly some really interesting features. So one of the concerns that customers have about portable drives, obviously, is where are they, and security, right? So in the Pro Mini, there are actually two additional hardware features that I haven't spoken about yet. One of them is that there's an NFC chip within the device. And what the NFC chip allows you to do is that, we basically, with all our devices, the pass keys and the data live separately from each other. With the NFC chip, this the drives in fleet management can be two-factor authenticated to a customer's IT framework. But if you have to send a drive to someone outside of your IT network, what you're able to do is actually send that recipient a credential to their iPhone, for example, and they can basically tap and unlock the drive, use
Wow.
the drive, and then when they're done using it, you can actually revoke the credential. So that's one of the ways that we, try to, sort of make things secure. And then within the drive is also a Find My tracker, essentially Find My system, which is basically supports both the Apple and the Google ecosystems. And so if the drive becomes lost, you can not only, geolocate it with, knowing where it is, but you also have some ability to have some recourse into trying to get it back. So one of the real key features of the Pro Mini is that there's also a programmable digital label that allows you to define, what's on the drive, what's the name of the project. This is completely customizable by the user. You can put barcodes, QR codes, what have you. It also tells you practical things like, what's the capacity of the drive, how much is left, what have you. But then in a lost mode situation, one of the things this allows you to do is dynamically deploy an alternate digital label. So if the drive became mislocated or missing, you could, change it to lost mode, and then it would say something like, "This drive belongs to CineSys. Please call the following number for its safe return." Or you could potentially, if you just need to send the drive to, get a drive back from a producer, you could actually deploy like a UPS call tag to the drive, and then someone could just, pick it up. So those are some of the things that we do. But
Oh,
let's say it's a more nefarious situation, you can actually do things like, remotely wipe out the drive as well.
wow. Yeah. That's yeah, really interesting, and also a great example of why it's nice to have a conversation rather than just a sound bite. You're
Sure.
giving us a real sense of how much thought and engineering went into these devices. That's really amazing. Yeah.
Well, the other thing too to talk about is what about your closet of existing drives, right? Because, obviously we want people to buy minis, but that's going to take, time for them to adopt them. Um, so how do you, bring your existing drives into into the Iodine framework? So one of the things we're also going to be um, selling or adding to the ecosystem is we will have programmable NFC stickers that you can affix to your existing drive inventory. So you can define, what's on that drive and so forth. And then using the Iodine application, that when those drives come in, you can scan them, know what you're receiving, and then, basically that lives in your full, inventory ecosystem, so that you can see what projects that drive is associated with. And, you could do things like, put a retention hold on the drive, or, things like that.
Wow, interesting. Interesting. Okay. Now in my head, I'm imagining all the media, the content creation workflows where Mini would be a great fit. But could you speak to that a little bit about where you're
Sure.
seeing customers adopt um, the Pro
Well,
Mini?
I think it's a really wide range of opportunities for customers to change how they work. One area where we think there's going to be some really interesting opportunities is that um, if you're working with USB output cameras, one of the things you'll be able to do is use the Mini as a direct recording medium. So this means that you can go from USB into the Mini, and right off the bat you have a RAID 6 encrypted recording that you can track its location, from the very beginning. So that's one thing that we see. The other thing that we see is that, because the drive is capable of such speed, 10 gigs an hour, in terms of transfer, is that, if you have um, editors, creatives, and so forth that are working, remotely, you give them the storage capacity, because the 8 terabytes is 8 terabytes usable with RAID 6. You give them the speed and the capacity to reduce rendering time, and to basically work in real time, for those those types of things. So if you have your visual effects artists who are working at home, this is something that this potentially unlocks. It could be used for applications like apps like Lucid Link, or where you have some sort of caching type of thing. So there's just a really unlimited range of things that people will be able to do. But I think one of the things that we really are focused on is that if you're a cinematographer, for example, you really care about lenses, right? And if you're a digital artist, you really care about the quality of the stylus and the pad and everything that you use. One of the things that we're trying to do with our portfolio of products is make people understand, because as I mentioned, portable storage has really been static in terms of what it unlocks creatively for people. But what we're trying to get people to understand is that your tool set is, obviously in the discipline that you care about. You care about the nuance of every aspect of that. But one of the things that our products unlock for creatives is the ability for you to realize the vision of that creativity, because we're not the barrier any longer, right?
Right.
It's all real time. So, if you have an idea, you can execute it. You don't have to wait. And we want you to think of what you put in your bag for your storage as just as important as which paintbrush you choose, or which lens, or which camera, or which sensor, that type of thing.
Well said. Well said. All right. Now, here's maybe a predictable question, but I'll ask you to talk like a salesperson for a moment. But if you're speaking to a potential customer evaluating storage upgrades, what would you say is Iodine's single biggest differentiator?
Well, I think that, I don't think we're the answer to everybody's problem, right? I think where we are differentiated as a company and as an organization is we spend a lot of time talking to customers and asking them about what their actual problems are. And, the product portfolio that we've developed has been born out of those conversations. And I think that's really more, what we're about. I think if you care about security, obviously we're a fit. If you care about portability, we're a fit. If you care about, super high speed, we're a fit. But, there's much more to that answer than, than, we're the answer for everybody. I think that's
Yeah.
what I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, good answer. I mean, it's so true in business and in media and technology, right? It's just listening to customers is always so important, and listening and then acting on it. And clearly, you do that really well.
Well, thank you. We do see customers as partners, and we see, resellers as partners, and because we're all trying to make better, business decisions, better, creative decisions, and that only comes through collaboration, because that's what, making a movie is about. It's about collaboration. So the
Yeah,
technology piece is just as important in
yeah.
that respect.
So, yeah, please, Robert, could you share a little bit about the other companies, say collaborative companies that you generally work with, to help provide, say a complete solution, including cameras and any other workflow tools that might be involved.
Well, we'd all like to believe that portable storage is an island, but it really isn't, because it's really connected to a larger set of things, right? It's really about workflow. So one of the things that's really important to us is, just like it's important to talk to customers, it is also important to talk to various different software and hardware partners that sort of, comprise the ecosystem of a customer's workflow, because, not all applications behave the same way. Some have nuance and some have to be optimized. So we've made a really good effort through our business development team, which is headed by Michael Giddig at Iodyne, to establish partnerships with, companies like Red or Softron or Hedge, for ingest. And that's not to say that we don't work with a variety of other customers, but I just, highlight those three just because we have developed, some really nice white papers and workflows that, really talk to how those two things can work in conjunction with each other. So, for example, Red has Red Connect, which, has the ability to use networking to capture camera signals, and we, have a white paper explaining how to directly capture to a pro data. Or
Hmm.
Softron, which is a playback and recording application. We have used pro datas at, like, many live events and musical festivals using Softron Movie Recorder. We recently did the Outside Lands Music Festival in San Francisco. We had 4 different stages. We had 22 different ISOs being directly recorded to one Pro Data. Just pick it up and go when you're done, take it to the post house, and, work on your packages. And then, of course, applications like Hedge are really vital to the ingest of content on the edge. And maybe this is a good time to actually talk about how fleet management has some additional features. Is that one of the things that we are looking to accomplish with fleet management is the ability to capture metadata. So we actually also have with fleet management, we'll have an API for developers. And one of the things this will allow for is that, applications that are metadata generative or metadata requesters. Uh, Basically the idea is that applications that create or generate metadata can reside and live within fleet management, which is, I don't want to characterize this as a MAM or an asset management system. This is just really a metadata retention. But
Right.
the idea is that, as the project moves along, the metadata is always retained and never lost. But, the key outcome is that at the end, when you want to create an output template, you want to send your drives to, you have the same content, but it has to go to two or three different, entities. You can create basically metadata output templates for each of those recipients with a push of a button, so that Netflix gets their drive the way it's supposed to, Amazon gets their drive the way it's supposed to, Apple, whoever, whatever OTT platform that you're working with. So
Yeah.
those are some of the things that we're trying to do with the partnership side of things.
Really interesting. Okay. And now, again, I know there may be not everything you can share with us about anything forward looking, but ask you a little bit and ask you what you can share. So as AI, virtual production, cloud connected workflows continue to evolve, how is Iodine positioning itself for the next phase of media infrastructure?
Well, I mean, I think this is a really, great question. I think, when we look at, well, I can't be specific about what products, but let me, I guess address it in terms of what types of problems that we see. One thing I think we can all agree upon is that the amount of data that's going to be generated and is being generated isn't going to be less.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
that would be the first thing.
Yeah,
So recently, we announced two new versions of the Pro Data, the 96 and the 192 terabyte devices, and that is really in response to the fact that, in the field, people are just generating a crazy amount of data. But, as we look forward, I mean, I think the bigger idea of what we think about is, edge data, and the use of it, how people want to potentially use it for things like AI. Um, if you don't have managed devices that can, be both secure and protected and tracked and monitored, then, that makes that the ability to protect and monetize that content, riskier. And so
sure.
that's really kind of the core set of ideas that we're focused upon.
Yeah, so true. All right. Well, as we get close to the end of our conversation here, is there anything I haven't asked that you'd like to share?
No, I think you've been really thorough. Actually, this has been a very enjoyable interview.
Thank you.
We're looking forward to meeting a lot of your customers at NAB, which we'll be participating in later this year. And of course, as we go throughout the year, we'll have, if people are interested in iodine or learning more about it. We have regular cadence of case studies, and you can always see how we're creating new ideas and new ways for people to solve their data problems. So
Yeah, yeah. Excellent, excellent. All right. Well, most importantly, thank you for our partnership. Our company enjoys being a partner, appreciates you as a partner. Um, so thank you for that, and of course for all our customers watching this video, please reach out to discuss more about iodine and your particular use cases. We're eager to have those conversations and certainly involve you as well, Robert, of course.
thank you.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well,
Excellent.
thank you again, Robert. Really, really fascinating conversation. And you've communicated it so well. And as I said, it's nice to have a longer conversation where we can actually get a sense of how much thought and engineering goes into your solutions.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate the time that you've taken today to talk with us, and yes, we also appreciate the collaboration very much. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Thanks everyone for watching. Have a great day.